Welcome back to One on One, you dirty dogs, where today we're going to rank every single manager / head coach at Euro 2020/21. Who's the cream of the crop and who's lucky to be in the job? We'll be ranking said managers in the following categories. Elite. Now these are the managers that could very well walk into a top side at club level. Working wonders. These are guys punching well above their weight given the resources at their disposal. Solid job, exactly what it says on the tin. Skeptical. Men we're not quite convinced are right for the job, but can't be written off yet. Retire. National team coaches that we think are at the end of the road. Should I rephrase that? Sounds like they're passing away. And a special category I created when I found out that Paulo Sousa was in charge of Poland. Anyway, we'll be working our way from Group A to Group F. Let's go. Roberto Mancini. For starters, Mancini is by far the drippiest manager on the circuit. Look at that fit. That's enough to qualify him for elite alone, but I digress. The former Inter Milan and Manchester City boss has barely put a foot wrong since assuming the role as national team manager in 2018. Lest we forget that Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup that year, for the first time since 1958. So it's safe to say he inherited a fallen giant. Since then, the Azzurri have only lost 2 games under the Silver Fox. Plus, Mancini has made some brave decisions along the way, entrusting young players such as Zaniolo, Chiesa, Moise Kean, Barella, Bastoni, etc. He successfully blended this youth with experience to restore the Italians' national pride. I have absolutely no qualms putting this Don in elite. Vladimir Pekovic. Now, this man came up the hard way, spending the majority of his playing career in the Swiss second division before making a name for himself on the touchline as manager of young boys. Stop it. Before taking the Switzerland job in 2014, Pekovic's most high-profile role was manager of Lazio, where he departed after 18 months with the Coppa Italia in tow. The Swiss also finished top of their qualification group, pipping the likes of Denmark and Republic of Ireland. I'm going to go solid, but a solid plus. Senor Ganesh. 68-year-old Ganesh has been back at the helm since 2019, having previously held the post from 2000 to 2004. In his first stint, he led the Turks to a stunning third-place finish at the 2002 World Cup. Clearly, he's still got the touch. His side qualified in impressive fashion, finishing just 2 points behind France, losing only 1 game. They did endure a Nations League. However, confidence is flowing again after victories over the Netherlands and Norway in World Cup qualifiers. Now, considering how bad the Crescent Moon were under Romanian manager Mircea Lucescu, I'm tempted to put him in working wonders. But they have dropped off a bit, so I'm going to go for solid plus once again. Robert Page, the former under-21 manager, is taking charge of Wales's Euros campaign after ex-manager Ryan Giggs became embroiled in a legal battle with his ex-girlfriend. Despite his rookie status, Page has enjoyed a solid start to life at the Dragons, winning 4 of his 6 games so far. Group-wise, been dealt a tough hand, and I fully expect them to finish bottom. Not really his fault, but I'm going to go, Roberto Martinez. Since his appointment in 2016, Bobby Martinez has only lost 4 of his 54 matches in charge. Now, I know he has a golden generation of talent at his disposal, but that's still a mightily impressive record nonetheless. The Spaniard secured 3rd place at the 2018 World Cup by convincingly beating England in the playoffs, securing the country's highest ever finish. Belgium also rose to number 1 in FIFA's rankings under the Spaniards' watch, a position they retained for an impressive 3 years. This is largely unsurprising given they won 10 out of 10 games in qualification, scoring 40 goals and only conceding 3. Now, his reputation may have taken a bit of a beating in England owing to that lacklustre final year at Everton. However, his win percentage at the Toffees very, very similar to that of the outgoing Carlo Ancelotti. You know what? I'm going to stick him in elite. I think it's reputation restored and he deserves another run at a top job. Casper Schulz. Despite not overseeing qualification, Schulz will lead the Danes at Euro 2020. It was actually outgoing manager Arg Haraid who successfully guided the Danes to a 2nd place finish in their qualification group without losing a single game. So why get rid of him? Basically, Schulz was penned in to take over after Euro 2020. So, despite it being a little bit dark on the outgoing manager, the Danish FA have chosen to stick with their guns, date-wise. that is. Schulman does have a big reputation in Denmark after leading Nordsjælland to a title in his debut season, securing them Champions League football in the process. Having said that, not been in the job long enough. He's now going in the increasingly busy column. Marcu Canerva. Now this is a great story. Canerva used to have to supplement his income as a semi-professional footballer by teaching maths and PE at a primary school. Now leading his country to their first ever major tournament. Something he previously achieved with the under-21 side. So no flash in the pan is Marcu. And the Eagle Owls, which is their official nickname but sounds like some glam rock band from the 70s, did this in very workmanlike fashion. Scored 16, conceded 10. Ultimately, they finished second in Group J behind Italy. And in the ascendancy, their impressive form continued at the UEFA Nations League, where they beat both Ireland and Bulgaria. Canerva, a very worthy recipient of working wonders. Stanislav Cherchesov. Former Spartak Moscow and Dynamo Dresden goalkeeper Stanislav Cherchesov was named head coach of Russia in 2016, with the lofty aim of restoring some national pride. Since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the national side has struggled, failing to qualify for back-to-back World Cups in 2006 and 2010. 2014 was an absolute disaster as well, failing to win a single match under Fabio Capello. And things looked like they were getting progressively worse when the next manager, Leonid Slutsky, left the job after just 10 months in charge. Step forward, Stan the man. After a successful stint in Polish football with Legia Warsaw, he returned to his homeland in a bid to rescue his national side. And he exceeded all expectations in 2018 on home soil, knocking out Spain, eventually losing to Croatia on penalties in the quarter-final. Miss another solid for me. Franco Foda. Foda has been in charge of Austria since January 2018, having previously managed Sturm Graz and FC Kaiserslautern. International football seems to suit Foda. He's only lost 8 of 32 matches in charge, giving him a win percentage of 63%. That's pretty bloody solid. Frank de Boer. Ex-manager Ronald Koeman secured qualification with ease, rejuvenating the Dutch, who had missed out on the last World Cup and European Championship. Koeman's side also performed really well in the UEFA Nations League, losing out to Portugal in the final. This represented a massive turnaround from the travesty that was the Blind and Hiddink era. However, since De Boer took over, patchy to say the least. Not only has De Boer only won 4 of his first 10 matches in charge of the Arenje, he's also made a series of gaffes in the build-up to this tournament. For example, he told the media that he personally informed all the players that had been called from the preliminary squad. Anwar El Ghazi got his via text. He also told the press that Donny van der Beek had racked up 4,000 minutes for Manchester United, which is about 2,500 minutes from the truth. Safe to say, preparation and the transition could have been a lot smoother. Fortunately, the Netherlands have landed a largely favourable group. Plus, all the games are taking place in Amsterdam. Having said all that, still extremely sceptical that De Boer is the best candidate the KNVB could have got to take this talented young Dutch squad forward. Igor Angelowski. Angelowski has made history by taking North Macedonia to their first international tournament. They came a respectable third in their qualification group behind Poland and Austria, but snuck in through the back door via their performances in the UEFA Nations League. Still, to secure safe passage, had to beat a talented Kosovo side as well as Georgia. Absolute shoe in here, working wonders, my friend. Andriy Shevchenko, footballer, fashionista, model, golfer, politician. Is there anything this man can't do? Yes, score goals for Chelsea. Unnecessary, that. In 2016, Shevchenko was promoted from assistant after Mikhailo Fomenko was sacked following a poor Euros. Once again, Ukraine just couldn't qualify from the group, which clearly remains the objective. Shevchenko's side impressed throughout qualification, beating reigning champions Portugal to secure top spot. So far, so good. Solid. Zlatko Dalic. His appointment looked inspired when he took Croatia from the uncertainty of the playoffs in 2018 to the World Cup final. They even topped a group that contained Argentina and Nigeria, eventually losing to France in the final. Very impressive indeed, even if they were on the lucky side, let's say, of 2 penalty shootouts. Less impressive is his ego. After securing a silver medal, he told Croatian outlet Večernji List, "Like it or not, I'm the second best coach in the world." Unfortunately for Dalic, this statement has aged like milk. Croatia opened their UEFA Nations campaign by getting slapped 6-0 by Spain. In fact, the checkered ones conceded more goals than any other team in the tournament. Call me cynical, but I'm very sceptical they're going to get anywhere near 2018 levels. Jaroslav Silhavy. When Silhavy was appointed in 2018, he had pretty solid credentials. He'd won the Czech First League twice with 2 different teams. They finished second in their qualification group with a solid 15 points from 8 games. Still, owing to COVID, he's only been in charge for 25 matches. It's a straight solid from me. Gareth Southgate. Following England's impressive run to the World Cup semi-finals in 2018, Southgate had a clear remit: blood emerging young talent and develop the team's style, particularly in attack. In Russia, the Three Lions only scored 3 goals from open play. Even prior to that, in World Cup qualification, England only scraped together 18 goals. Since then, they've become a much more fluid attacking unit, scoring 37 goals in European qualification alone. So, safe to say there's been progression, even though a poor UEFA Nations League has dampened spirits slightly. Questions do remain over Southgate's preferred setup, with the former under-21 manager consistently rotating between a back 4 and a back 3. Some see this tactical fluidity as a positive and a nod to the diverse range of talent that the England boss has at his disposal. However, others see it as indecisiveness and an inability to find the optimum formula. This tournament may decide which way the pendulum swings. I'm going to have to stick with solid. Steve Clarke. Clarke restored his reputation at club level following a successful spell at Scottish side Kilmarnock, sufficiently enough to replace Alex McLeish as the Tartan Army boss in 2019. Scotland had just lost 3-0 to Kazakhstan and things were not looking good. Despite a rocky start, the former defender galvanised his squad to qualify for Scotland's first major tournament since 1998. The Scots finished a respectable 3rd behind Belgium and Russia in qualification, but entered the playoffs as a result of their performances in the Nations League. It was here that the dark blue needed the rub of the green, beating both Israel and Serbia in penalty shootouts. Still, the job he's done has been nothing short of transformational. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna put him in working wonders. Paulo Sousa. Prior to this video, I had absolutely no idea that this happened. Yes, former Swansea and Leicester manager Paulo Sousa will lead Poland at Euro 2020. Although Poland's qualification was achieved by another manager. This is the easiest ranking on the list. Stefan Tarkov. Similarly to Sousa, Tarkov is a recent appointment, having been drafted in just a matter of weeks before the playoff tie against Northern Ireland. Former Czech Republic international Pavel Hapal actually secured qualification for Slovakia, but was then sacked after a shock loss to Israel in the Nations League. I'll tell you what, now that meaningless friendlies have disappeared from the calendar, international football far less chilled as a job. Tarkov has made a decent start, already securing wins over the likes of Scotland and Russia. But you know where he's going. Luis Enrique. After briefly stepping down for personal reasons, Luis Enrique is back to lead the Rojiblancos at the Euros. Bit of drama though. His longtime assistant, Roberto Moreno, led Spain to qualification in his absence, going unbeaten in 10 matches in the process. But when Enrique returned, he accused Moreno of disloyalty, promptly firing him. Since resuming his post, the standout result has definitely been that 6-0 pummeling of Germany in the UEFA Nations League. However, Spain's still struggling for goals in the absence of a world-class number 9, which makes his selection even ballsier. He's opted to take 24 when he could have taken 26. The biggest surprise omission was, of course, Sergio Ramos, leaving Real Madrid without a representative in a Spanish national team at a major tournament for the first time ever. In fact, there's only 3 from Barcelona and 2 from Atletico. So clearly, Enrique is mostly picking on form and not reputation. I suspect the Spanish FA are treating this as the start of a new dawn, and the way to get very young players some valuable experience. And who better to lead them than someone I would still qualify as elite? Jan Andersen. Prior to taking the Sweden job, Jan Andersen has led clubs like IFK Norrköping, who he led to their first league title in 26 years in 2015. He was appointed as the replacement for Erik Hamrén, following a disappointing Euro 2016, where Sweden finished bottom of their group with just 1 point. Andersen immediately improved his nation's fortunes, beating both the Netherlands and Italy on the way to the 2018 World Cup, their first World Cup in 12 years. Once there, they topped a group that contained the likes of Mexico, Germany and South Korea. Sweden performed solidly in qualifications, finishing behind Spain, but followed that up with a poor showing at the UEFA Nations, albeit in a very strong group. Had that not happened, I'd be tempted to put Andersen in working wonders, but I'm going to go with a solid plus. Alright? Didier Deschamps. Under Deschamps' stewardship, France deservedly won the 2018 World Cup and remain one of the favourites for this year's European Championships. If they do win, the Champs will have the unique honour of winning both the World Cup and the European Championships as a player and manager. It's little wonder that he's the second longest serving manager in French Federation history. Don't need to dwell, let's just stick him in elite. Joachim Low. Joachim Low has been in charge of the Mannschaft for 15 years. However, he's chosen to step down after this summer. His contract actually runs until after the 2022 World Cup, but he approached the DFB about ending it early. First employed in 2006, his reign has stretched almost 200 games. He guided Germany to the 2008 Euro final, third place at the 2010 World Cup, before winning it outright in 2014. In fact, Low has led Germany to 6 major tournaments, reaching 3 finals and 6 semi-finals. To put that into perspective, that is a better record than every England manager combined. Although a disastrous 2018 World Cup, where they didn't get out of the group stage, followed by a pretty rank UEFA Nations League, where I think they drew 3, won 2, lost 1 and finished on a goal difference of -3, has taken the sheen off somewhat. So what he does at this tournament could be hugely influential on what he does next. If he performs strongly, he probably walks into an elite job, and if he underwhelms again, he might struggle. Still, given his pedigree, can't be anything other than elite. Fernando Santos. Fernando Santos will once again lead Portugal to a European Championship, having steered them to a surprise victory 5 years ago. It was the first time that Portugal had won the tournament, having previously failed to beat Greece in the final of 2004. Portugal underwhelmed at the World Cup, going out in the second round, but then they bounced back, winning the UEFA Nations League. Now, despite winning the Euros, would he walk into a top job in club football? I don't think he would, and for that reason I'm going to go working wonders over elite. Marco Rossi. This is head honcho Marco Rossi's most high profile gig to date, having previously managed the likes of Spezia and Honvéd. This is just the country's 4th appearance at the European Championships, and Euro 2016 was the only time that they've ever made it out of the group stage. Not sure that's happening this time round, regardless of who their manager is. Plus their talisman, Dominik Szoboszlai, out injured. I hate to end the video this way, but I'm going to have to stick him in That is it for this episode of One on One. It has taken me ages to shoot this, so please like the video, comment your rankings in the description below, and hit me up with some ideas for next week. Click on screen now for more great Euro football daily content. Highly recommend the Explain series. Of course, subscribe to the channel with notifications on. And you know what I'll do? I'll catch you next time. So long.